So I was on TikTok the other day, as I often am, and I saw this really heart-wrenching story, gut-wrenching kind of, in a very loving but also sad way. This one TikToker approached this gentleman and he was like, "Do you want this mystery basketball or do you want this $1,000?" And the guy was like, "Mystery basketball." And the TikToker was like, "Really? Mystery basketball? Why?" And the guy was like, "Because I just feel like there might be something better with this basketball, and I love basketball, and I've been in prison for the last 21 years, and today is my birthday, and I've been out for 6 days, and I want to play basketball." And the guy was like, the TikToker was like, "Oh, wow, like what were you in prison for?" And he's like, "Well, I was in the military, and I came home on leave and to surprise my wife, and she was in bed with another man, and I got upset and I killed him. And I'd never been in trouble with the law before." And the TikToker was like, "Oh, wow. So this is your first birthday out." And the guy was like, "Yeah. And I'm just so grateful that you like gave me this basketball." And the TikToker was moved as a lot of the people on TikTok even were, because the guy made a statement and it was, "You're the first person that hasn't dehumanized me. And I appreciate that." The person that had been released from prison made a statement like that. And I think this is a call for us to put the human back in humanity. As somebody who has also been a victim of dehumanization due to my own criminal past, I can tell you it's a real thing. It's the moral high ground that people tend to think like, I am better than you because I've never been in this serious type of trouble. And I really think it's an important thing to talk about the difference between a weak character and a weak moment, right? And what we do as people all the time is we vilify weak moments, and we do not vilify the right things. Like as an example, and you're probably seeing it, that CEO of Astronomer, like, is, getting dehumanized just completely. Like he hasn't tried to help build a company, like he's not trying to do things for the advancement of society, like he's not trying to help people because he had a weak moment moral failing in his personal life. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there are very few people who haven't had weak moments or moral failings in their personal life. Some people get them splashed on the front page that goes viral, and other people get to quietly pretend like they didn't have a moral failing and that they are superior to other people. And as somebody who's been a national scandal, let me tell you, um, it is a sad thing to see people who think they are entitled to vilify somebody else. It is a sad thing to see them do that because it speaks volumes about their character. People who dehumanize other people have weak characters. And many times, not always, but many times, the people who are being splashed on the news had a weak moment. And now, again, I have a Christian background, so I'll always say Satan will always like amplify the thing, but not just Satan, society will amplify a thing. It doesn't matter, like the real depth of the thing often doesn't matter if it'll make a good front page story, you know? And so, what does it look like to have a weak character? Okay, what are some traits of having a weak character that you want to think about? Because if you're on my page, it means you want to have a strong character. You want to have a strong mindset. You want to have a developed personality, right? So, what are some characteristics of a weak character? And the first one I can tell you right now is they're cowardly. Okay. A weak person, a weak character is a coward. Now, cowardice is a very ugly trait. It is something that we see when people want to take the easy way and not the hard way, or rather the wrong way and not the right way. It is something that we see when people want to trade a truth for a lie. Okay. A weak character, a cowardly character, lacks integrity. Okay. So cowards always lack integrity. Weak character lacks integrity. Well, what does that look like? They say one thing, they do something else. Okay. We see that happen a lot in this day and age. People cannot keep their word. If you have somebody who does not keep their word, you already know they have a weak character. If they say, "Hey, I'll show up here and do this," and then they don't do it because this came up or that came up or they feel this way or they feel that way, weak character. Okay? And again, I want to point this out to you so A, you cannot have a weak character, and B, you can see the people who do have weak characters and stay away from them because weak characters are walking red flags. Now, again, that's not to say that even people with strong characters don't have character flaws that lead to weak moments. That does happen. But you need to have the discernment between the two, right? Was this a complete moral failing or is this a weak moment, right? And it happens in the small things. So if you have someone in your life, or you are someone who does not have integrity in your word, I can tell you right now, you've got work to do. The first thing that everybody always needs to do is say what you mean what you say, and do what you say. It is the number, after I got out of jail, I started my healing process, I was like, what needs to change? And that was one of the first ones. Say what you mean what you say, do what you say. I'm telling you right now, if I say I'm going to be there at 4 o'clock, I'll be there at 4 o'clock. If I tell you I'm not feeling okay right now, I'm not feeling okay right now. It takes mystery out of some of the things in ways that people who like drama don't care for. But the people I find, most people have enough drama in their life that they appreciate a straight shooter that they can rely on. Which brings me to the next thing that integrity coward type people do is that they'll compromise their values to fit in. They don't maybe even have values, right? You see this a lot with people who put money over morals. Money over morals is a very dangerous thing. If you can be bought or sold, you have a price. And if you have a price, you don't have strong integrity. And if you don't have strong integrity, you don't have a strong character. There has to be some things in your life that are priceless to you. It wouldn't matter. If someone offered you $1 billion, you wouldn't trade it for the world, right? Like one of those things for me is my faith in Jesus. I'm gonna tell you right now, you could offer me $100 billion to renounce Jesus, I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it. No, thank you. That $100 billion in this life is not worth the love and peace that I know from believing in Christ. Thank you. Now, again, I have the added benefit of studying the Bible for 15 years and walking with God for a very long time, so it's very easy for me to say. I'm not trying to push Christianity on you, as you all know. I don't care if you believe in Christ or not, but my belief in Christ is something I will not buy or sell. Simple. So what do you value? And you're like, I don't know what I value. I value my family. It's like, do you value your family? Because what are you giving up for them then? Right? This is how we know if you actually value a thing. Most people say they value a thing and they don't, right? Going back to the saying one thing and doing another. You can say, I value my family, but when it comes to, hey, honey, can we have a date night? Oh, well, I have to work. Okay, then you don't value your family because your honey is asking you for something and you're putting work over your family. Oh, well, I need to work to, there has got to be at some point a sacrifice. Weak character people do not know how to sacrifice. People who have strong character know how to sacrifice. They know how to discipline. I'm getting into strong character traits now. This is going to be a series. This is going to be a series of character, main character energy series. So you're gonna get a series here. This is just day one of what it looks like to have a weak character. We're going to go through what makes a weak character, and we're going to go through what makes a strong character. So if you want to better understand the character of the people around you, hang out. If you want to understand yourself better and where you might have some like failings, falling short, hang out. Okay. I can tell you right now, so many of these things I have worked through, gone through, to some degree. And so when we're younger, I'd say most of us sort of make compromises to fit in. Most people do that. To fit in, sometimes to like get approval from people because they want to be chosen, or they want to avoid conflict. The place I tended to do this was with men. I wanted to make them happy. I wanted to please them. I wanted to connect with them. And so a place where I used to really lack integrity, and if I'm not careful, I have to be careful, still could, is in the partner realm. Now, again, now it's like, well, if you're asking me to compromise my integrity, you're not worth it. You know what I mean? But that got me into a lot of trouble from ages 14 to 28, compromising what I would normally do to accommodate what the other person's asking me to do. People pleasing comes in here as well. But then again, we don't want to confuse, like, people pleasing is a weak character trait. Like, it's a character flaw. A lot of times it's born out of trauma. It is a component to the lack of integrity. But lack of integrity is a bigger scale, right? They say one thing, they do another, they easily compromise. And this is why I say about cowardice, they make decisions that are fear-based, or they make decisions that are self-motivated in a way that can harm other people, right? We have a very much a selfish, self-absorbed society. Those things make for a lack of integrity. They make for a coward. They make for weak character. So we see this in a lot of people now. They say, oh yeah, I want a relationship. And then what they do is have sex with you and then they leave. You lack integrity. It's simple, and again, these things are, if they're in a character, they're a pattern of behavior. It's a pattern of behavior that you'll see, right? It won't just be a one-off. It won't just be like that guy in the story, right? He's not in the military. He obviously has discipline. He obviously has a lot of things, but oh, he had a weak moment. And in that weak moment, his character flaw of anger, well, that's just an emotion, but unresolved, unregulated emotion is a character flaw, I'd say, which most of us have until we don't anymore. And obviously he killed that person. And he went to jail for 21 years and he paid his time. And that's the whole point of restitution in society, right? We're supposed to have restitution. We don't. Society will never let you forget your past. Well, that is a sign of weakness, because at some point you have to move on from your past. You have to move on from where you've been. Now you want to learn from it. And I believe, go to my website, selfandstoryanalyst.com. I believe you want to analyze it and grow from it. There's a lot of gems in our past that you want to be aware of. It's like you have a story here to analyze. You're not even looking at it because it was hard for you. Let's go check that out, right? But we have to know the difference between, hey, this is a weak moment and this is a weak character. This is a weak person. And usually, when you know what to look for, it's kind of glaring. It's kind of glaring. Weak character is an easy thing to spot when you know what to look for, to be honest with you. And what's the nice thing, right? Here's the nice thing. If you have a weak character, what do? Strengthen it up. Okay? If you have a lack of integrity, then what you need to do is start gaining integrity. Well, how do you do that? Telling the truth bit by bit, making it safe for yourself to feel comfortable telling the truth. There's a reason why people lie. It's easier, it avoids conflict, it's safer, it people pleases. Like there's a reason. This is the thing that people do not understand in people, which is if somebody is doing something, it's because they think it benefits or values them. Or it's a benefit or a value to them. That's simple. That's simple. We don't need to make it complicated. It's very simple. So if you see someone doing something and you're like, I don't know why they would do that. I would never do that. Well, it doesn't matter what you would do because they see a value and a benefit in it. So instead of you judging it or criticizing it, try to find out or figure out, well, why is it that they think there's a benefit to doing this? It doesn't actually serve them, right? We're not curious enough. But if you're here, you might be curious. You might be into some personal development. You might want to learn a thing or two about people. Right. And so, and about character and about leadership and about integrity and about personality and all the things and about mindset and about emotional set. Right. So what we're doing here. So just to recap it, when we're looking at characters, there are weak characters, there are strong characters. The strong characters are the people that we really like, and we're disappointed a lot of times when we find out they're human. But they are human. Okay, so no one's perfect. Even having you have the strongest character, it doesn't mean that you still won't fall to a temptation or a bad decision or make the wrong choice. And then your character comes into play with how you handle it. It's like, oh man, I messed that up. Like this, why people expect perfection is beyond me. We're a whole bunch of imperfect creatures. And so the minute someone makes a mistake, like if you're out there vilifying them for making said mistake, you're the problem. You have a weak character because life is all about connection, and connection is all about rupture and repair. Rupture and repair. That's how things grow. If you've ever gone to the gym, what you're doing is you're rupturing your muscles, and then when you have a rest day, you're letting them repair and grow stronger. If you've ever broken a bone, what happens? Bone breaks, it ruptures, and then it comes together and it fuses and it becomes stronger. I have a deformity on my collarbone that proves that. Okay? And so at the end of the day, people do not understand how life works. Rupture and repair is one of the best things you can learn if you want to stay in fellowship and connection with people. If you want to be a miserable, like isolated type, then you don't want this information because you're just going to think you're right all the time and everybody else is wrong. But if you, and that has, again, a preference. But if you want to have a fulfilled life, then you need to have people in it. And people, for good, bad, and ugly, come in all shapes and sizes. Every person is their own universe. You know, I've said this to you guys before, if you've been here for a while. And so we will talk about character. But to recap, we're talking about weak character versus weak moments. Weak character has patterns of behavior. Those patterns of behavior have some steps we'll go through. The one thing to look for is a lack of integrity. Okay, lack of integrity where people say one thing and do another. They compromise their values. They make fear-based decisions. It's cowardly behavior. And you'll see weak character is cowardly behavior. Okay, it is. And so we will talk more about it, but lacking integrity is like the number one thing that we see. If you can be bought or sold, if you prefer a lie to the truth, if you say one thing and do another, if your motivation is fear or self-interest, that is a place to go. Okay. And so before you try to diagnose anybody else, go look at yourself, go diagnose your own self. If you need help, figuring out where you struggle, if you struggle, book a connection call, okay? selfandstoryanalyst.com, go to book a connection call. We can have a chat. It's free. If this is resonating for you, come back for the next lecture, which should be hopefully tomorrow, maybe in a few days. Then we'll talk about the second characteristic of weak character. If you want to do some self-work, go buy self-work journals on Amazon. Okay. I intentionally have products and offers to meet you at every step of the way so that you can start growing and healing and restoring and leading effectively. Okay. Because again, all you have in this life is you, your word, your character. And as somebody who has compromised herself before for foolish things, who had a weak moment and now get dehumanized and vilified for it, I would love for you not to have to deal with that because it's not fun. It's very painful. And it distorts the truth of who you are, right? Like the truth of the matter is I've always had a very strong character, but it doesn't matter because I had a weak moment. And so now there people who don't know me only know me for a weak moment. They don't know the real the real reality of who I am, which is their loss, to be quite frank. But let me help you so you never go through that. And before you say, oh, I would never have done that in the first place, let me tell you, I said the same thing. Okay. When I was 23, I was like, oh, I would never do something like da da da. Guess what? At 28, I did it. I did the thing. Okay, so maybe you're better than me, and that's fine. I hope you are. But on the off chance you want to learn from me, hang out here. Okay, so I will see you guys on the next video, and we will talk more about main character energy, strong character versus weak.